Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and not wait till it's Monday on the Tuesday show with Ted and CJ.
And we're in the game.
And we're in. Yeah, and it's all working.
We're all working. We're in the game. We're on the game. There we go.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes. Here we are. It's the CJ and Ted show, a bit live.
A bit live.
Bit live, but not quite entirely live, just in case there's anyone litigious nature out there.
It's live for you, the viewer.
Yes. It was live. It was live when it was frozen. Oh, that's how it goes.
Does it get much fresher than that?
It does not.
Frozen at the point of harvesting.
Yes, right. Yeah. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. It's Friday night, and
as we're doing our best to try and let you know.
Yep, it's Friday night, and nothing's really changed in the however long it's been.
Hours.
Yeah, the last day and a half since the last time we were live. No, it's actually the weekend, which is why I'm wearing a hat, because I can't be bothered to do my hair at the weekend.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm wearing glasses because I can't be bothered to do my hair. Yeah.
Good. Oh, my other earphones are broken as well, so I had to put on my big headphones today.
Yeah, well, you had only one of them working at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, it was only, and I'll be honest, it was getting on my nerves.
A bit mad.
Yeah. Having the only one was getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, I've got these, but I've got some more in my Amazon basket. So as soon as I've got some more money, I'll buy some more.
Yeah.
They'll be exactly the same. Yeah, stick to what you know. To be fair, actually, because I looked at when I bought them last, and I've had them for 18 months, so 20 quid to last 18 months. Yeah, I'm really not complaining about that.
That's not bad, actually. I thought you were going to say something. I thought you were going to say some sort of ridiculous. Yeah, they're only 300 quid, and because they're super duper.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be so mad if they were like 300 quid. I was looking at buying some Drumeo ones. So Drumeo's a company YouTube channel stuff for drummers, and they do some IEMs as well, but they're like £100, and I'm like, not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not worth 100 quid to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Oh, that surprised me. That sounds like the sort of thing that I could possibly. No, because normally your tech is like, oh yeah, I've got this, and so I had to get £3,000 worth of cable or something.
Well, the rest of the stuff is quite expensive.
Yeah.
I'm like, literally, it's just so I can hear what you're saying and what I'm saying, and that's it.
Yeah.
I don't need anything fancy for that. It's the. And yes, I get the advantage of I can use them while I'm playing my E-drums, which are sat behind me, which you can't see. Move over there. There you go. You can see them. There you go. There. Yeah. Electronic drums. So when I do play them every now and again, they're really useful for that. But again, not necessary to spend £100 on a pair.
Yeah.
Not like I'm gigging or anything and need super high fidelity audio.
Although I was thinking about this because I've not heard you say much about the drums recently. How are you getting on with them?
Yeah, I'll use them every now and again, but when I'm not being really lazy and spending my lunch break sat on the sofa. It's all because I've got to think about my neighbours as well, because that's an adjoining wall behind me. So if I start, thrashing out, drums whilst they're home and trying to do their thing, I just don't want to annoy them. So I've got to generally wait until there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Which is getting less and less these days.
They're on the other side of the wall on base, in which case it could fit in.
It could turn into like a really cool impromptu jam session.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Toast and jam.
Yeah.
I used to when I was younger. So I wasn't a band when I was younger, and we used to go to there's a venue called the Roadmender in Northampton.
Yeah.
And they used to do a Sunday session that they called Toast and Jam. And you'd literally just go in and it would just be local people just playing. We never got on the lineup at any point, but yeah, it was really nice to see like little local bands who, were just looking to have a jam session, would go in and start jamming. And yeah, they called the whole thing Toast and Jam.
Oh, cool.
Mainly because it was on a Sunday morning as well. I think it started at like 10 a.m. And it was cool. But anyway, that's my Toast and Jam segue.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, what else you got to say for yourself?
I've got a really nasty rash.
We're laughing about it, but you probably have.
I really don't. I'm good. I do not have a nasty rash. No, everything's good. Like I said, we've got some things to talk about, so that's good. Yeah, everything's gravy.
That's great. Do you want to fire away?
Sure. Let's go with the first thing. I don't have anything to share. Like I say, I kind of whipped up some stuff. Just before the show. But I was thinking about actually something that I was discussing the other day actually at work is the 4-day work week, and it seems to be like there are more and more companies taking on the 4-day work weeks. Last week 200 companies had as of last week 200 companies have permanently adopted a 4-day working week with a no loss of pay, because that's a really key point when it comes to talking about the 4-day work week, is it's got to be people don't lose money because of it. People who support it say it boosts happiness and productivity, while on the other side of the fence, people are saying, well, it could hurt business and economic growth and et cetera, et cetera. Surveys are showing younger workers are especially keen on the shift. That's because they're lazy bastards, with nearly 60% of the public believing a 3-day weekend will be the norm by 2030. And actually, so one of the companies that I work with, to reiterate for some if they're interested, I work for a group of companies, and I look after a number of those companies in an IT capacity. But one of the companies I work with, I think they've reported like 60% of their workforce is on a 9-day fortnight. So, work 5 days, get 2 days off, work 4 days, get 3 days off kind of thing. Which works out really well for them, and they don't see any loss in productivity because of it, and so it works out quite nicely for them. And I'll be honest, I'm a bit lazy. I'd love to do a 4-day week. Some people say, oh no, you can't do this because you've got to squeeze in your 40 hours into 4 days, and it's like, but how many hours do you actually work in a week? When I look at my timesheet, I'm regularly pushing in 50, 55-hour weeks. Yeah. So losing one of those days would probably help me out a lot, to get it back down to 40 hours.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean.
But it's that, I think the idea behind it, the incentive is, okay, you have to work for 4 days and you get 3 days off. We're not saying you have to do 10-hour days to make up your 40 hours. Mm-hmm. But because you've only got 4 days to do things, you are generally more productive. I think that's what some of the research has shown, is you're generally more productive during that your 8-hour shift. Yeah. Just to get things done, so you can go and enjoy the 3-day weekend, kind of worry free. But anyway, the discussion question out of it is: do you support the 4-day working week? Do you think it would work in the industry you work in? Do you think there's industries where it won't work in? What do you think are the biggest benefits and challenges for both workers and employers?
Yeah, get in the comments.
Yeah, get in the comments. Let us know.
Listen, do you know what? The first thing I thought when you're talking about the 4-day week is, as a negative, was the situation where we had 3-day weeks, because the economy is in tatters. And then I was thinking, well, hang on, if people are doing a 4-day week, then what would be the comparison, generally speaking, with people's wages? Because there has been some wage sort of stagnation. Mm-hmm. If they start working a 4-day week, is that basically they're getting paid for what they actually should be getting paid for? It's not like they're getting more for less. It's just like they're doing less work and actually getting less pay as well as they would have done 10 years, 20 years ago.
That's one way of looking at it.
It's one way of looking at it, but it's not a positive way of looking at it.
No.
Do you know what the problem is? Or the first thing that makes I think of is if you've got people doing a 4-day week, and you've also got an expectation from everybody in the world that everything is at their fingertips 24/7. How can that possibly work without a higher cost for employers? So they've got to somehow cover the lost days, because there literally won't be somebody doing a job for as many days as they used to.
I think we're at a bit of a tipping point where there is a much stronger justification for a 4-day working week, thanks to AI. People go, "Oh, AI is going to take my job," and it's that the argument that I have with a lot of people more regularly than I think I should do. But I have the conversation fairly regular where it's AI is not here to take your job. It's there to complement your work. It's to help you be more productive, to deliver more, deliver better quality, etc., etc. Pick your arguments. That's where I sit on AI in the workplace. But a 4-day working week, so if I can do my job in 3/4 of the time because I'm employing AI to help me deliver or to be more productive and deliver better, I could then potentially move my working week down to 4 days because I can still do the same amount of work in less time. So I then don't lose any pay. I can take the extra day and it's fine. I mean, I'm doing it at the moment. I'm using AI quite a bit at work, to help me with things like I need to write an email about something, and rather than sitting there trying to figure out how do I put this into words, or I just go to Copilot and say, right, here's the thing, this is what I want to say, or and this is the tone that I want to do it. Here's some source material, go. And it will go and write me a message for it. And I've done so much of that recently, and it's massive, massive time saver. Yeah. Which means that, come 3 p.m. on a Friday, okay, I've still got 2.5 hours to go, but I can kind of sit back and go, yeah, that's been a good week. And I can go off and, do some learning instead. And it's that kind of thing. And I think that's the attitude people need to be taking towards, AI and the 4-day working week. And like I say, because if we can get people educated around AI and say, actually, it will help you do more in less time, then a 4-day working week becomes a bit more appealing for some.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. I mean, the playing devil's advocate, I would say that if you like AI, yes, great. And I agree with you, but that's right now. Right this moment, you can increase your productivity. But when you get to the point where, well, two things, when everybody's using AI to the absolute maximum, then where do you go from there in terms of increasing productivity? It's still going to be a case of taking away the human element. You've got to take away the human element. And all the people that do jobs that they think, oh, actually, I'm never going to be replaced by AI, they're living in a fantasy world. Because when their companies and whatnot say, oh, we just want you to fit a dash cam. We want you to have a camera whilst you're working for your own safety as well as ours and all that nonsense. What you'll find is that even something like a plumber goes to do a job. They're wearing a camera. You imagine all the plumbers going out wearing a camera. How long is it before all of that information gets put together to the point where you can have an AI device of some kind, we'll call it a robot,
so a robot
that
plumber
can go out and be a plumber.
As long as said robot plumber looks like Mario or Luigi.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Carry on.
But the thing is, it's not about having a robot plumber, because the robot plumber walks into. Why would you have an AI robot plumber that you've taught everything it can possibly know about plumbing? That's very much one-dimensional thinking, because this AI plumber has not been taught all about plumbing. It's been all taught about plumbing, building, electricity, every possible task. And why not? It's a simple one. It's just, we'll just download a bit more of that. And it's all done in an instant. And every time you've got one of these robots in a house completing a task, it's learning. and it's sharing that learning with every other robot in the world. So then you'll get to the point where you don't need plumbers, you don't need builders, you don't need electricians, you don't need any of these people. And if you don't need any of these people, then the people are going to be out of work, being given some kind of standard, what do they call it? Like a universal income. And they're just going to turn into flabby blobs.
What
they turn into. But everybody is going to be like that because they'll have absolutely nothing whatsoever to do because the robots will do it all.
Progress has to be made. And, compare, I won't say now, but let's say 10 years ago, before AI was really a thing. 10 years ago, compare that to then 50 years before that. There weren't as many machines. There wasn't as much technical innovation. But people adapted as it comes in. And I think I'll get to back to AI in a second. But as technology develops or as things change, people adapt. Yes, there are some people that lose their jobs because of things, but then they retrain or reskill, or they will find something else to do.
Yeah.
That then means that they can work with said technology. I think AI is going to be slightly different because it is moving. It's got a lot of pace. It's got a lot of inertia. It's moving very, very quickly, and I think there are a lot of people struggling to keep up. And I'll put my hand up and say even I'm struggling to keep up with what AI can actually do. But in terms of using it day to day and getting used to it and learning that, it's just a one day at a time kind of thing for me.
Yeah.
Yes, one day my job might be at risk as an IT professional. Certainly as a generalist, I'm not particularly specialist in any area. I'm very generalist, which means that actually, yes, there may be AI systems that will eventually take over what I do. What I have to do is try to keep up as best I can, so I can then be the person that says, okay, well, AI's taken my job, but now my job is going to become the person that's programming said AI or doing something to use it to more benefit. Then a machine comes in to take over someone's weaving job or something. I don't know. Someone then has to learn how to use it, or also how to build it, maintain it, program it if it needs programming, and ultimately use it. Okay, you could then get a machine that does the work of 5 people, so 5 people are out of work. But out of those 5 people, one of them needs to know how to use it because you don't generally just leave machines on their own to do their own thing. There's always someone looking over it. But one of them will learn how to maintain it. One of them will learn how to install them, and the displacement of work becomes actually we get to just do something else that is still related to what I was doing before.
Yeah,
in some degree. I'm not saying that's the perfect case, or I'm not saying that happens all the time. There's always something there, and we just have to kind of use history as the learning tool, which is yes, people lose their jobs, but then more jobs become available because of those losses or because of what's changed to create those losses in the first place.
But even as you explain it, you go from 5 people doing a task to 1 person looking after a thing that does that task. And again, a lot of those things can be fulfilled by robots.
Yeah.
Not necessarily now, but perhaps in the future. And we obviously will adapt, but what we might be doing is adapting to a universal income, not leaving a building complex, playing video games for the entire, waking hours. That could be it. And if that's it, then that's a pretty, sad prospect for the human race. Yeah. Unless, of course, you're a tech billionaire, in which case you'll be out on a boat.
Oh, was that
with a bevy of beauties and lots of money?
Yeah. I mean, I'll counter slightly and say I don't think everybody would be able to afford to live on universal credit. So they would be forced to go and find something.
Yeah, but they wouldn't. Why? Why would they do that? Because you see, the thing is that if everything's being produced by robots and Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good argument for them doing their best to try and reduce the population. So, and there's various ways you can do that. Some more insidious than others.
I thought you were talking about the robots reducing the human population.
Well, very possibly.
That's why I say please and thank you when I'm talking to Copilot.
When I talk about robots, I mean the ones that live at number 10.
Okay.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't look particularly bright for the human race when we get to that sort of level. At the moment, you're right. If you're working in some sort of I don't know, some kind of thinking job, then using AI can be an absolute boon. But do not be complacent if you're a driver, or if you're if you put two things together to make another thing. There's no saying that will not be taken over by AI, in which case you need to think about ways in which you can diversify or do something adjacent to it, but not what you're doing at the moment. Yeah, but so your 4-day week, great, but A, can you service everything you currently do, and B, is it a very sort of through the back door, giggly, way of taking people, not increasing their wages over time, and saying, hey, look at this, you only have to work 4 days of the 4 days a week, which, if you compared it to wages increasing in a sort of a normal way, if there was growth in the country, and then all of a sudden your boss is saying, guess what, we're doing a 4-day week, so you get paid obviously a day less, it's almost exactly the same thing. I don't know.
But the basis of the argument is shift into a 4-day week without losing any money. So whatever your salary would be right now is still what you would get. You'd just be doing that for 4 days. And the question, or maybe a follow-up question to what we've been talking about, is if you're in a 5-day a week, if you're in a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, earning X amount of money, and your company said, right, what we're going to do is we're actually going to shift down to a 4-day week. No one's going to lose any money, and you don't have to work any extra hours to make it up. It's still going to be 9 to 5. It's just going to be Monday to Thursday. Would that make you feel like you could then be more productive? And again, just do things faster. The same amount of work in 1 day less. Is that something you think you could do? And would that what's the word I'm looking for? Would that incentivize you to then do that? Like I say, some of it is around. People do sit around and do not a lot sometimes, or they do, hang around a bit too much in the kitchen having a conversation. Would that then kind of, get people to actually work and still deliver what they can deliver?
Well, probably not. I don't think so.
Okay.
Because I think people are going to be people, whatever they're doing, and they'd soon get used to working 4 days instead of 5 days. So they're going to want the coffee breaks, and they're going to feel entitled to the fact that, I work 4 days a week, I get paid X amount. The problem is what you are doing. This sounds like some stupid socialist bullshit idea, because if you've got to be working 4 days a week instead of 5, what you're then doing is you're taking away those people's drive to want to do more and want to do better and want to strive for the okay, let's say, for example, you work 5 days a week, and then all of a sudden your bosses say, hey, look, aren't we great? We're going to let you get paid the same, but you're only going to work 4 days a week. Brilliant. Except for the fact that if you're a hard worker and you do 4 days a week now, you are hitting your targets. You're you're an achiever. Are you going to walk into the office and say, excuse me, I'm doing great work, can I please have a raise? Okay, because if you start asking for a raise, you're very likely to be told, what are you talking about? You can't have a raise. You are only working 4 days a week and getting paid for 5. Get out. now?
I think that might be a narrow view, but it's a fair and valid point. Some
It's definitely going to
employers,
be the view of the people who are paying their employees.
well, that's what I mean. So some employers will probably think along those lines. Others maybe not.
But that could leave people with wages further stagnating, certainly to the point where they're only then getting paid as much as they would have got paid for 4 days. So whilst it sounds like a wonderful idea, nobody's going to get a pay rise, or the pay rises are going to be very, very few and far between, less than they are now. And it makes all sorts of assumptions that that whoever thinks this is a good idea can somehow control all the businesses in the world effectively, because otherwise you're going to get unfair competition, because you will have countries that work 5 days a week, ones that work 4 days a week. You got people out there that work 6 days, 7 days anyway. So it sounds to me like a way of controlling companies and organizations, a way of telling them, no, you can't make people work more than 4 days a week. The difference between working 4 days and 5 days is going to be quite dramatic for a lot of organizations, because they do still need to do certain things. They still need people on board, but onboarding people, recruiting people, paying into their pensions, training them, all of that costs money, which makes me think it's a shit idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the point of why we discuss it. It's the, you can have your long opinion about whatever you want. Yeah, that's no, it's fair. I mean, it's all fair points. I mean, I think the general idea, and certainly before people start buying into big changes like that, going from a 5-day week to a 4-day week, is that there is zero negative effect on the person working. So it doesn't affect if someone gets an annual salary increase. It doesn't affect that. Or if they did go to their boss to say, look, I am doing all of this great work, I think my role is worth more than what you're paying me. Please, can I have a raise? That those businesses and don't then negatively react to it to say, well, hang on a minute, we've already given you loads of benefit by having a 4-day week, and you're not losing any pay because of it. So why should I? It's not about that. It's about people still being able to deliver the same productivity, if not more, for no less money, but for doing it in a shorter amount of time. I don't know. Personally, like I say, I'm on the other side of the fence to what you're saying. I think it's a good thing, and I think actually it could work really well and implemented in such a way that it doesn't affect business as a whole. I think for a long time we're going to still be a 5-day working week world. The main business days will still be Monday to Friday. That's not going to change. So, I would love it if my boss turned around to me or my company said, we're shifting to a 4-day week, but what you get to do is pick which day you have off. Okay, most people will take Friday off, and that's cool, because then that means actually I could probably work on a Friday interruption-free and actually get more done on a Friday. And I would choose taking a Wednesday off. So I only have to work 2 days. Two days, get a day off, 2 days, get a couple more days off.
Okay, but imagine you're told, hey, guess what? You're on a 4-day week. And that's the day before you were going to walk in and ask for a raise. Are you going to walk in and ask for that raise still?
Shit, yeah. Hell yeah. If I've already got it into my head that there's a conversation to be had between me and my boss about how much money that I earn, and then, like you say, the day before they go, we're moving to a 4-day week, I'd still go and have that conversation, because I'd be like, well, that was all being talked about before the decision was made, or before I thought about actually asking for a raise. You still want me to deliver the same amount in a shorter space of time. Actually, I want the raise even more. And I will still go and ask for that.
But hang on. But you're saying that you're producing as much in 4 days as you did in 5 days.
Well, that's what the company would be asking of me. That's not my decision. That's what the company is then asking of me. And it's like, well, actually, that's fine. I'll still deliver what I deliver now in 4 days instead of 5, my days might actually end up. But like I say, as a standard right now, I do, I post in 50, 55-hour weeks. I start early, I finish late, because there is a lot to be done. And then there's an argument about why is that the case? Why is it not the case of you should be then doing less so you don't have to work 50-hour weeks? But actually, it makes no difference to me because I'm working from home.
Yeah.
So starting at 7:30 on a Monday doesn't really make much difference to me, because that's time I would use for commuting or whatever. There's a whole host of different scenarios that people follow. I mean, like I say, I know some people who work at home, but they still get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and their commuting time is they'll just go out for a half an hour to an hour's walk in the morning. So they can clear their head, so they can get out of the house, and and then when they finish work, they'll go and have another half an hour walk as some form of commute. Some people do that. I don't personally. Like I say, we all know I don't really exercise. But it's that, I get up at 7 o'clock, I get ready for work. Coffee's already made because I have it on a timer. So I get up, get ready, grab my coffee, and I go sit at my laptop. But between like 7:30 and 9 o'clock, no one interrupts me. If I've got something that I need to work on, that's my ideal time period to do it. And then I'll finish the day somewhere between 6 and 6:30, depending on the day. If I have to travel, I'll get up earlier or I'll get home later and things like that. And that's all the variability around that. But yeah, it wouldn't make much of a difference to me if they said we just need to do it in 4 days. Like I say, if anything, I feel like it would make me more efficient, because I'd be thinking about I've got to get it done in 4 days instead of 5. Or one of the things I don't like about when I am working or thinking or trying to plan ahead is when I have to say things like, let's look at this next week, because invariably everyone's forgotten what we were talking about.
Yeah.
So actually, if I can then go, well, I'll be here at whatever time. Let's have a conversation at 4:30 on a Thursday. Yes, okay, that might be the end of someone's working week, but the advantage is we haven't got to do it next week, or they haven't got to do it on the Friday. It just gets, hopefully, my view is I would hope it just lets people get things done and be a bit more, or put a bit more thought into their working day and what they're actually doing.
I don't think it's something that can really be properly universally adopted, because it doesn't work for a lot of organizations. But if a company wants to do it, then fine, and they'll either find out it works or it doesn't. But there's always going to be companies out there that think, well, hang on a minute, if I go down to a 4-day week and then tell people, let's increase our productivity but only work for 4 days, why would they not turn around and say, hang on, you're working 5 days a week, I want 6 days worth of productivity out of you bastards? That's the other way of looking at it. If one's possible, then the other one's equally possible. Of course,
that happens already. Well, again, 50-hour week. There's an extra day in there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, you can't do that in a lot of things. You can't have emergency workers only working 4 days a week. Certain things are not going to work the way that sort of a way. But
there's you're right. There's some industries where saying 4 days is the standard. You're absolutely right. It wouldn't work. On the flip side, I would say things like, people who already work shifts, emergency workers, etc., they're not going to see any benefit, and realistically, nothing's going to change for them. The shift patterns will still be there. They'll still stay the same. People who do things like 4 on, 4 off, security workers or, factory workers, that kind of thing, or distribution people where there is a 24-hour operation, they wouldn't see a benefit out of that.
Yeah, but most people, the people who make things.
Yeah, but
the people who get things done.
I think the counter to that would be there's already a significant benefit to them anyway. Okay, yes, they may be working 12-hour days, 4 days on, but then they get 4 days off. So there's already a benefit to that anyway. You're working a few extra hours, or say you're working extra hours during your working week, but then you get 4 days off, guaranteed all the time.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, but it's very variable, and yes, it won't work for everybody, or there's no universal rule, like you say, about how it should work. You know, you couldn't just say everyone works Monday to Thursday, 9 till 6 or 8 till 5 or whatever your working hours are. You know, but that's still much like it is right now. You know, some companies work 8 till 4. Some do 8 till 5. I'm 9 to 5:30 as my contracted hours, you know, for a 40-hour week, including a half an hour lunch break. I never take a half an hour lunch break. It's usually more about an hour. But it's flexible, and each business would have to adapt it to what works for them, you know, or to what works for their people. You know? Again, I doubt there's any two people in the company. You know, I work for a 16,000 person organization. I doubt there is two people who do exactly the same thing at the same time. You know, some people like to start early and finish early. Some people like to finish a bit later. Some people, you know, like I say, like me, if I'm online at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm taking an hour's lunch break. I don't care, because I know that I'm more than making up my hours elsewhere. Yeah, so if someone says, "Oh, you took more than half an hour for lunch," I'll be like, "Okay, well, I'll tell you what, then I'll stick to half an hour lunches, but all you're getting out of me is 9 to 5:30, and then you know, see how much doesn't get done."
Yeah,
you know, those bits either side of, the core working hours are prime get shit done hours.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or if it's working in public services, then they start very early, spend that time eating toast, drinking coffee, you know, walking around with salads and doing their online shopping.
Yep.
And then leave at 3:30 in the afternoon, thinking that they've done a day's work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah. Anyway, so that's no, that was good. But yeah, if anybody in the audience has got any comments about the 4-day working week and whether it would work for them or not, let us know. Get in the comments. Let us know.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments.
Get in those comments. Yeah. I tell you what, here's a bit of a light relief.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I was looking online and I saw another "Am I the Arsehole?" Every now and again, I'll wake up and I'll think, "Am I the arsehole?" And then I go online to see what other people think. And
do you immediately answer with yes, I am the arsehole?
Yes, I am the arsehole, but not necessarily in the way that people might think. So anyway, let's have a look at this one, shall we? Oh, look, even the tech works. So
I'm going to turn this way so I can actually read what you're reading.
Super. Am I the arsehole? This is from who is it? Naive Effective 7108. There's 7,108 of these naive effectives, and this is the 7,108. Anyway, they say, "Am I the arsehole for not taking responsibility for my sister's cup?" Now, at first, I thought, "Hello, what's all this about?" That strange one. But then I realised it actually means a cup that you drink out of. My 19...
World Cup, was it?
Yeah. My 19M sister... this is annoying. Right, so this is a male 19 saying, "My sister, who's 16 female, hates holding her own stuff when we go out. Whether it be shopping bags, her purse, or that Stanley Cup she insists on taking everywhere, I end up holding it. Our parents don't do anything about it and tell me to carry it to be a good brother." Why the parents out? 19 and 6. Anyway, I feel like my sister sees me less as a brother and more as a pack mule.
Lol.
Mule. Friday, Mum took us to the mall to spend my sister's birthday money. And of course, I ended up holding everything. Her purse, her cup, and her 10 shopping bags. When we got back home, she noticed her cup wasn't there. Honestly, I had no idea where or when I put it down. She told me to either go look for it or buy her a new one. And I said no, because she should have been keeping track of it herself. Now the family is being cold to me. Am I the arsehole for not finding or replacing her cup? I feel like I should have been in the clear because, number one, she needs to start keeping track of her own stuff. And number two, she doesn't need to bring that cup everywhere she goes. She never even drinks out of it when we're not at home.
Right, I need to correct myself because when it says Stanley Cup, I'm sitting there thinking like a hockey trophy in America.
Right.
Like their championship thing is called the Stanley Cup.
I
But no,
see.
we're actually talking about the travel mug, which is also called Stanley.
Yes.
So, which dawned on me as that story progressed. So.
Yes. A Stanley Cup. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, it's one of these big things. Let's have a look.
Yeah, it's a massive travel mug.
Yeah.
Like a what do they call it? Like a big boy type thing. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. It's a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And they're incredibly expensive.
I was gonna say that
for
was
a cup.
£45
Yeah.
for a fucking travel mug. Get out of here.
Yeah. That's right. That's what I think. But yeah, no, you do see them walking around. Do you know what? When I was younger, when I was at school and when I was at work and various other places, people would every now and again have a cup of tea or something. But these days, schools, children going with massive containers of water.
Mm-hmm.
You go into a meeting, people turn up with like a gallon of water for no reason.
Yep.
And then you've got people walking around with these stupid cups. These ones are like a status symbol thing. So,
yep.
You don't want to be seen at some sort of mums and tots thing without a Stanley Cup. Otherwise, you're going to look like a bit of a non-entity. But anyway, so 16 years old, got a Stanley Cup, £45, cup, and getting her 19-year-old brother to carry it along with every other thing. Is he the arsehole for not going back to find her ridiculous cup?
I mean, I've got two trains of thought. She and the parents are arseholes for making him carry it to begin with.
Yep.
But also, if he's put it down somewhere and forgotten where it is, yeah, he should probably go and find it. He's assumed responsibility at that point.
He's been given responsibility. I think it's fairer.
Yeah.
He has been given the responsibility.
So, but either way, the responsibility is his because he was in charge of that mug's safety. Yeah. But yeah. So I think for me, that's two-pronged. They're all arseholes, and he should leave. So yeah, they're all arseholes at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And mostly the parents.
Mm-hmm.
I think the parents are mostly the arseholes.
Yeah.
Because what they've done is they got the older brother, and then they got the younger girl, and the younger girl is treated like a princess, given a bloody £45 cup to drink water out of or whatever.
Yep.
In the first place, she doesn't even use it. She just walks around with it, or gets somebody else to walk around with it as a status symbol. They're all arseholes, and in fact, he's probably the least of the arsehole, but a bit of an arsehole for not going back to get it.
That's what I mean. It's only a small amount of arseholedness.
Yeah. And why couldn't they all go back?
Right.
It would be a lot easier for 4 people to go back and look for something.
Absolutely. 100%. I agree with that. But yeah, it's I mean, just a bit right at the start. It's that my 19-year-old, my sister hates holding her own stuff when we go out. Well, that's a you kind of problem, bird. You want shit, you got to carry shit. Okay, that's just how the world works. You're not going to have someone. You don't have a butler. Or if you want someone to carry all your stuff, you got to hire a butler.
Yeah. Exactly. Also, it says her purse, which in any right-minded country, it's called a handbag. No,
tomato.
Yeah, but a potato. But you made me say potato. But a 9.
All right.
But a 19-year-old boy is not going to want to stand around or walk around with a handbag.
No.
Now, I say that.
Definitely not his sister's handbag. Now, if it was his girlfriend's handbag, there's a different story there. Yeah,
it's slightly different.
Yeah, but that's been a thing for years, though. Hold my purse for me. You
have to hold it at arm's length.
Yeah.
You have to make it very clear that it's not your handbag.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But the dedicated boyfriend will do things like that for their partner.
Yeah.
But not brothers and sisters. That's just weird. I want to know how that even started. You know, where she's just gone, oh, could you just hold this for a minute, and then it's just that's it, it's done. You know, she never took it back. Yeah, and he didn't have the balls to go back to her and say, oh, here's your handbag.
Yeah,
you know, because if that was me, right now, okay, now I know I say a lot of
that
stuff.
being said,
Hmm.
there does seem to be, you know, hang on a minute. Let me just change the size of this so you can see it properly. What was good. The man bag is starting to make a bit of a
man bags are here,
but like proper bloody handbag, man bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
No, it really isn't. But
No.
I agree though. But even then, I'm just like, if that was me, and like I say, I realise I say a lot of things and probably would never follow through with it. But even a girlfriend, if they were just like, "Can you hold my purse for a minute or hold my handbag?" I'd be like, "Sure, yeah, no problem."
Mm-hmm.
They go do what they do. They come back and be like, "There you go, there's your bag." And then they go, "Oh no, I don't want to carry it now." I'll be like, "Okay, well, I'll leave it here on the floor then."
Yeah.
You know, because I'm not carrying this thing for you. This is yours. You know, this is your property. You're responsible for it, not me. You know, it's I'm not. I wouldn't be playing that game ever.
Yeah. And I don't like the argument. Well, you got pockets.
Yes, buy trousers that have pockets in. Then okay,
I've got pockets, and you have free will too.
Yeah,
you could wear something with pockets.
Yeah,
you daft bent.
You too could have pockets. If only you thought about it.
You too could carry things without necessarily having them in your hand.
Yeah, but I'd put money on to say that this girl doesn't make him carry her phone. I bet she's the mobile phone in the back pocket of her jeans kind of person. Yeah,
which is that's crazy to me.
Which makes zero sense to me, and it's like you're just begging for someone to come up behind you and steal it.
Yeah,
you know. Okay,
granted, get the phone.
Granted, though, there's not a lot they can do with it because of passcodes and things like that. But again, you know, with enough knowledge or knowing the right people, you could eventually hack into the phone and wipe it, and then you got yourself a free phone. But
oh yeah, I think you can do that anyway, can't you? You can just wipe a phone, and then boom.
You can, but you get like activation locks and things like that. You'd have to break past that, which is more and more difficult nowadays. But it's that I still don't understand why people put phones in their back pocket. It's I'd never go ahead and steal anything from anyone, but it's that even I look at it and just be like, I could literally just reach over, grab that, and run away.
Yeah,
I wouldn't run. I'd walk fairly fast.
I look at it and think, I hope that falls out.
And that as well, yeah. I hope it falls out and smashes on the ground.
Yeah.
Because guess what? You also don't have a case on that phone. Or I hope you sit on it and break it. Because actually, because
that's what I would do. I'd sit on it.
But that's the thing. So there was that thing. It was years ago. I can't remember which model of iPhone it was, but there was a big thing about the fact that people were putting iPhones in their back pocket, then sitting down, and they were bending and breaking. And people were going nuts over this thing. And I just remember being like, don't put it in your back pocket. Why are you doing that? That makes no sense.
Yeah. You know why, though, don't you? You know why women walk around with a phone in the back pocket of their jeans?
I have no idea.
Because guess what? They wear jeans that have fake front pockets.
Seriously?
Actually, the only seriously. So the only pockets they've got are the ones at the back.
All in the name of fashion.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Absolutely.
Absolute morons.
The other thing you could do is get one of those, like, from the Office UK version. What's his name? Gareth had one. It's like a gun holster. One of those shoulder things that you have under your coat.
Yeah.
Had in just for the phone.
That's a great idea.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Cock. Yeah.
I mean, was that a quote from The Office?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
Look.
Having only ever watched one episode, hated it and never watched it again. Yeah, I did not like The Office at all. Either version, either UK or US. I didn't like it. Those kind of, what do they call them? Mockumentary or something. I don't like that style. I don't like that format of TV show. The Office I didn't like. Parks and Rec I didn't like. And I'm sure there are many, many quotable things from all of these shows. And
Enthusiasm.
What? Never seen it. Never seen it.
No.
Yeah, I can't get on with the style, and yeah, we've discussed many times. I'm really not a fan of British comedy. I don't know what it is about British comedy. I just can't get behind it. There's the odd one or two which makes me go, yeah, that's kind of good. But I don't actually remember the last British comedy I watched. Actually, I just feel like the styling is so much different to American comedy, and like I say, I just prefer American comedy.
I think the other thing is that when you say British comedy, it's like the difference between I don't like bad things and I like good things, because like, for example, if you said, oh, okay, let's have an example of British comedy, and then you watched Mrs. Brown's Boys, you'd be absolutely right in saying that British comedy is the worst thing ever.
Fucking awful. Yeah.
But in the same way as Americans, for some reason, think that British cooking is only beans on toast and warm beer.
Wait, you mean there's more to it than that?
Oh, maybe there is.
Well, that's true.
Maybe
That's actually so true. You know, a lot of Americans don't like British cooking because they find it bland and, you know, not as exciting. You know, we're not as into, you know, sauce, you know, or condiments as the Americans are. You know, we don't feel the need to plaster every ounce of food with some kind of, you know, sauce like mayonnaise or ranch or whatever. I'm not saying all Americans do that all the time, but that's definitely a contributing factor, I think.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of that.
Bear in mind, though, that a lot of Americans have never left America. So when they have opinions and they say things about British cooking, it's not British cooking that they're eating. What they're doing is they're watching you know, like a TikTok of an absolute tramp putting together some, you know, bloody turkey drummers and half a tin of beans together, and thinking that's British cuisine. Whereas our opinion, if you haven't been there, is what they do is they just get like a burger and make it absolutely ridiculous. So it's impossible to eat by adding more and more and more stuff and cheese and, you know, and stuff like that. You got to dig a little bit deeper to see actually what is out there. And for us, and we discussed this before, what we've got is good ingredients. Yeah, we can't afford it anymore.
I was going to say, the trouble is we just can't afford
it. We have access to good ingredients, but we can't afford it.
Right, exactly. No, I agree. And actually, and that's a really good point. It's like when it comes to burgers, for me, you know, I need 4 things to make a burger. I need the bun, I need the burger, I need bacon, and I need cheese. And that is it. Yeah. I don't want sauce on there. Don't care. Yeah,
you don't want sauce and a whole ladle of mac and cheese on that.
Yeah, don't need it.
More sauce.
Yeah, don't need any of that. I mean, every now and again,
take the whole thing and squish it down as much as you can, and then put it into another burger.
Oh my god!
and then cover it in batter.
Hey now! I think you might be on something. I feel like we should try that just to see how it comes out. So it deep fry it, have a heart attack when you finished it. Yeah,
it's people wearing black gloves doing these sorts of things on the internet.
Yeah, when did that become a fad? Wearing black gloves,
and also they look so unhygienic.
Yeah,
it's like I don't want somebody wearing black gloves dealing with my food. That's just, you know. Also, if you go anywhere, go to a food vendor, right? So, you know, one of these food vans or something like that at a festival or an open day or what am I talking about? But anyway, you know what I mean. If they're wearing gloves, they wear gloves to do the thing. The gloves that look a bit tatty anyway. Then they go and give you your change, still wearing the gloves. Actually, it's so much worse than if they just had bare hands and they just used, I don't know, soap and water for their hands.
Or some, you know, antibacterial gel or something. Because you're absolutely right. Like you say, they make the food, they then take your filthy money from you. They give you they then give you filthy money that someone else has given to them that you have no idea where it's come from or the hygiene level of that person.
Yeah.
And then they go ahead and make more food. And, you know, actually, that's a really good point. I was thinking about this the other day, actually, because it's that whole thing of, So I ordered some takeaway last night. Actually, that was the other day. It was last night.
Not like you.
No, just I fancied some takeaway. I fancied some fried chicken. And as I was eating it, I was just like, it just dawned on me. I just went, I have no idea where this has actually come from, what the hygiene standards are, what they were doing when they were cooking it. Were they wearing gloves? Were they not wearing gloves? Did they pick the nose? And it actually put me off. I got about 3/4 through it, and I was like, I think I'm actually done. I'm done with this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a rare treat. I just fancied some takeaway last night. I really don't do takeaway that much anymore, mainly because it's stupid expensive.
Yeah,
and I don't see the necessity. So I'd rather, and the amount of time it takes, the amount it costs, the amount of time it takes to arrive. I may as well just go throw some chicken burgers in the oven, butter up a bun and call it good. And I'm probably going to actually enjoy that more, which I actually find quite a lot now when I'm cooking myself. I'm actually enjoying it a lot more because yeah. Anyway,
plus everything's expensive. You order a takeaway, it's 30 quid.
Exactly.
No matter what it doesn't matter what it is, it's 30 quid.
No, exactly. It was about 30 quid.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
For a fried chicken box meal and a piece of cake and a drink. Excuse me, sorry.
Eating out is expensive, but compare it with a takeaway, which is always 30 quid.
Yep.
Actually, it's crazy money, and then you just getting something delivered.
And the thing is, the thing with delivery is it's never as good as it would be as if you ate it in a restaurant. It's going to be colder. Especially if it's got some kind of like I say, any kind of deep fried food like fried chicken, the grease is going to start congealing and it's actually really disgusting. Yeah,
nobody cares.
Yeah, no one gives a crap.
There are no standards anymore. So somebody turns up with a bag of food and it could be cold. They could have, nipped and done some shopping on the way to bring it to you.
Yep.
Nobody cares. Yeah. Nobody. Why would they care? Because there's always going to be somebody else paying 30 quid for some shit to be delivered to their house.
Yep.
So if you say, "Oh no, I'm not going to do that," I mean, I'm.
So I think delivery will survive without my custom.
Yeah,
and that's kind of how I look at it. It's like I'm really not holding up delivery.
Yeah,
they'll survive without me, like you say, because there's always someone who's willing to spend 30 quid on a takeaway.
Yeah,
or there's always someone willing to do something really dumb, like order some fucking cheese and biscuits from their local co-op that then gets delivered around the corner because they're too lazy to go out and get it themselves. That was me at one point, and I'm sure we've discussed this before, but that was definitely me at one point. But no, I don't do that anymore. I'd actually want to just go out and get the fresh air.
Yeah.
And actually know what I'm getting, know what I'm buying.
Yeah.
Plus, everything is inflated on delivery stuff as well. Like you compare the price of like the block of cheese from Co-op, either in the shop and then on the delivery app. It's like an extra £1 expensive, £1 more on the app, just because they can. Because they know people are going to buy it. We'll inflate the prices. That covers the cost of someone going around the shop and picking all your items and bagging it up.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. That's literally why they are hired.
Yeah. And then what we'll do is we'll send somebody with a questionable background round to their house with some kind of clue as to how many people live there.
Yeah.
That's what we want as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah. The only thing, the Chinese is actually quite good value for money, I think, and they tend to deliver it themselves. So
yeah,
they independent of the whole delivery.
You always end up paying the delivery charge, though. Because at least with like with Deliveroo, or even Just Eat, sometimes when you get over a certain amount, the delivery becomes free.
Oh yeah, you're still paying for it, but
yeah, I've always with the guys that deliver themselves, like I say, Chinese and Indians are the key ones around me. They always charge the delivery no matter what.
Yeah,
which I don't really mind
because they do their own delivery or they have their own people doing the deliveries. Again, there's a bit more care about it.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, and also if something doesn't turn up, you can phone them and say, "Hey, my thing didn't turn up," or "You sent me the wrong thing," and they'll deal with it. Whereas, where do you stand if you order something from? They're always just going to pass the and they don't care. Because you'll be there again, or somebody else will be.
And that's the thing. So actually, here's the thing with Just Eat and things like that. If something's missing or wrong, they just go, yeah, we'll just refund you.
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm still hungry. And I remember having that conversation with Just Eat at one point when you could actually talk to, back when you could actually talk to someone. They're like, oh, we could just do you a refund. It'll be back with you in a few days. And I'm like, but I'm still hungry. I still want this food, but what they've given me is not edible, or something. Or they go, oh, something's missing. And they go, oh, we'll just refund you the difference. And I'm like, okay, it's no good to me, but all right, whatever. And the worst one they do is they just go, oh, yeah, we'll give you credit, and they put it onto your account because they know then that you're going to have to go back to use it. That one pisses me off when they don't give you the choice. But Just Eat are really good at that. They're like, oh, yeah, we'll just credit your account. I'm like, no, I want the money back. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so there we go.
Many reasons why CJ doesn't really do takeaway anymore.
Yeah. And that was the taking responsibility for a sister's cup.
Yeah.
What have you got?
Did our sound effects? That's what I've got. Let's have a look on my list. Bank of England interest rates. Does that interest you? Yeah, okay. Bank of England interest rates decision. What's next for borrowers? So the Bank of England has announced its latest interest rate decision, and it's not good news for borrowers. With rates staying high, many households and businesses are feeling the squeeze. As this comes as the UK faces a toxic cocktail of market shifts and economic uncertainty. Discussion question: how are rising interest rates affecting your finances or business plans? What steps can individuals and companies take to adopt this new economic reality?
Right.
I mean, I didn't even know that was a thing. Literally, this is something that I just looked it up really quick and was like, okay, there we go. That's the thing. I mean, I don't really borrow money anymore. I'm so badly in debt that I can't borrow any more money. So interest rates don't really affect me in that circumstance. However, I can say that it is. It obviously then affects savings, doesn't it? Is it high interest rates make savings better? But what I haven't noticed is my bank telling me that my interest rate is going up on my savings. It's staying where it is.
Of course not. That's not how that works.
They did it once. Where they put it up by like 0.5%. And I did get a message from them. God, it must have been a couple of months ago now, saying, although interest rates are going down, we're keeping your interest rate as is. I was like, oh, great, thanks. You're doing me a massive favour. I appreciate that. But yeah, not being a borrower right now, interest rates aren't really affecting me.
Yeah. No, and of course, they probably don't affect a lot of people who are in sort of fixed-term mortgages, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah.
But at the end of the day, if you're going to get any kind of financial news, certainly in this country, it's not going to be good. Why would it be? Interest rates will go up. People will find it more unaffordable to live. But you know what? If interest rates go up, if people's mortgages go up, then people's rent also goes up, which is that's the thing that's one of the things that's killing the country in the first place, that people can't actually really afford to live properly.
I guess that's the indirect effect for me, is that it might mean that my rent goes up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes, at the same time, wages do not go up.
Certainly not commensurate with like CPI and other interest rates. Yeah, wages do not go up. Which has been a long-standing argument for a lot of people anyway. It's everything's going up in price, the cost of living is going up. Okay, you may give me an annual increase in salary of whatever percentage, but that's not commensurate with the rate that everything is increased. It's the can of beans argument. The can of beans argument was, remember 20 years ago when you could buy a can of beans for 10p or less, like store brand beans. Great for poor people or people who don't earn as much money. The people who earn a lot of money don't care because they're buying the name brand stuff anyway. If that can of beans that cost 10p goes up by 10p, that's 100% increase on the people who can't afford the branded stuff, but a 10p increase on the people that can afford the branded stuff makes no difference to them. Their percentage increase is maybe 5%, or whatever. That's just I picked that number out of the air. And it's actually quite scary when you look at that. It's the gap between the store brand items and branded items now is much narrower than it was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And actually, in some cases, you're probably better off buying the branded stuff. That's why I always look out for special offers on branded goods, because it's like, actually, that might end up being cheaper than the regular store brand stuff. Like, actually, it's like the bacon that I buy. Right, okay, we're going to talk about bacon. So I buy streaky bacon, smoked streaky bacon. Love it. It's my favourite type of bacon, favourite type of food in the world. The Tesco, other supermarkets are available, but the Tesco, like regular bacon, you get like 14 rashers, and it costs like £3, I think, or £4 a pack, or whatever the cost was. I think it's £3 a pack. But if you go for the Tesco Finest, you get 16 rashers of bacon, and if you buy 2 packs of them, they're 2 for £5. So you're getting when you buy 2 packs, you're getting 4 rashers extra for £2 less, because you bought the Finest product. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same. I don't know the difference. I think it's slightly thicker cut, actually, if I'm honest.
Yeah, right.
But it's things like that, and that's what I'm looking out for. It's it's still store brand, and it may be their high-end store brand, but there's an offer on that where actually, because of how much bacon I buy and then eat, it is better for me to go buy the Finest stuff. There's always at least 2 packs of bacon in my shopping every month. Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's about 4. But I also won't buy that unless I'm buying 2 of them, just so I can get the offer, so I can feel like I'm actually, in the long term, saving some money.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, I get more rashers for that as well. So anyway, but that was cost of living is terrible.
Yeah.
But interest rates.
Well, there we go. I'll tell you what, something else that we were thinking about in terms of the cost of things, and this is a bit of a contentious one, which is we have state visits every now and again, and we recently had one from Trump,
from President Orange.
Yep. And they cost a lot of money. So I don't know how much the recent one cost, but the last one apparently cost around 3.9 million.
Wow.
Now, I mean, bearing in mind, there are lots of visits. I mean, there are state visits, but you get dignitaries going around all the time to different places, and you get, our politicians flying off to different places and whatnot. But just as a host for a state visit, and this is just one state visit, 3.9 million is quite a chunk of money. And the problem is, I think we're so used to hearing about things in billions now. And people don't really have an idea properly of what a billion is.
Okay, do you really understand how much a billion actually is?
Yeah. And there's a thing. Oh, actually, why don't you look it up while I'm talking? Which is, there's a comparison about the difference between millions and billions and trillions in terms of time. So it's like something like a million seconds versus a billion seconds versus a trillion seconds. See if you can find that whilst I'm talking about this one. The thing in 2019, the state visit in today's money, because of course nothing 2019, 2025 is a big difference anyway in terms of the value of the pound, but it would have been estimated about 5 million quid. So the estimates for the visit that we just had was about 15 million. A lot of money. Yeah. Is it worth it? That's really my question. And what are your thoughts? Could it be? Is it justifiable? Do we need the air transport? Do we need the motorcades and the policing and everything that goes into that? Or should they just do a few Zoom calls? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to as we said last week, I was in London for a few days. We ended up talking about that because I think that was at the time or just after Trump's visit. And we were talking about the whole kind of security of it all and all that. It's like there was no kind of public parade or no public thing for any of it, I don't think. And like I said, I wasn't following it. I really don't care. It's there's this whole thing, the security aspects around it, because it was obviously just after Charlie Kirk. And there's the cost element, like you say, that the last visit was estimated to be around 5 million after expenses and all that as well. And it's the taxpayer that's picking all of that up. And, let's be honest, Trump is not a popular person, for the most part. So, I could see why they would hide him away from public view for the entire thing, because people don't like him and there would be protests and all sorts of stuff.
I think I'm just going to interject there and say some people don't like him. So, when we talk about the majority of people don't like him, there was they had a protest in London. It was like, keep Trump out of London protest. He wasn't fucking going there.
Yeah.
Fools.
I say he was hanging around Windsor, wasn't he, apparently?
Yeah. So, but the numbers of people there were, quite small. Talking like 5,000 people turned up, which in the general schemes of things, like a week previously, there was the Unite the Kingdom rally in London, and the media say that there were 110 to 150,000. It looked more like 1 million plus.
Right.
If you look at the aerial photographs, of the protest about Trump in London, it looked like, I don't know, it looked like being like a road accident, and there's a whole group of people gone around to have a look at it.
Okay.
It was like that. That was the difference. So yeah, when we say, the majority of people don't want him, or nobody likes him, that's not actually accurate. It's just some very vocal people are going to be willing to, be there right at the front with a sign saying, "Oh, don't like Trump," or "Orange man bad."
Yeah.
And like you say, perhaps the, not that they get paraded through the streets as some sort of visiting hero at any point with the state visits, but security is going to be tight after the events of the other week.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying?
No, that's right. Yeah.
So what have we got then? 1 million seconds.
Yeah, so this is the second thing you asked me to look up. So a million seconds versus a billion versus a trillion seconds. So 1 million seconds is 12 days. I mean, that's actually a really interesting visual, or just it's not even really a visual, just an interesting bit of information. It's like, I'm going to spend 1 million seconds doing something. That's actually 12 days. And then 1 billion seconds is 32 years, and then 1 trillion seconds is 32,000 years. 32,000 years.
Yeah. So when you hear people saying, our national debt is 1.3 trillion or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
It's like, that is a ridiculous amount of money. And it's just like pure, you can't even imagine.
No.
You can't even imagine that money.
No, exactly. And that, I mean, I don't think there's any business in the world that makes trillions, but there are many that make billions, and many more that make millions.
Right, there are trillion-dollar businesses, but again, they'll make billions.
Yeah,
they'll be worth a trillion. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, there are. I was going to say, is that the value of the business is in trillions, or their turnover is in trillions?
I don't know.
So I think maybe Microsoft turnover trillions.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Anyway, but yeah, like I say, think about that in terms of like if you wanted to pay off, if you were £1 trillion in debt and you wanted to pay off £1 every second, and you go, okay, that's not actually bad because I could pay off £1 million in 12 days. But then you're like, but if I need to pay off £1 trillion and I pay off £1 every second, it's going to take me 32,000 years to pay it off. And I feel like that's probably where the national debt is about at right now. It's like we're paying it off at about £1 a second. But at the same time, we're also borrowing a shitload more.
Yeah.
So the debt is just going up and up and up.
Well, the problem with debt at the moment is, and this might be across the board, but certainly for us, we're paying so much in interest on the debt.
Yeah.
That we're actually barely even scratching the surface of the debt. If as a country, we were a household budget, we'd be screwed.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be turfed out.
Oh yeah,
it'd be so over. Yeah, and we just seem to have idiots in charge of it. But there we go. That's life, I guess.
that is life.
It's like, oh, yeah, but where does the debt? Where who do we owe the debt to? Well, the country sells bonds, and then people want some sort of return on that. And we have to give a return. The return is in interest, and the interest has to be paid for. And the interest has to be paid for on top of what's already owed. And so it goes on.
But speaking of bonds, I was looking at premium bonds the other week.
Oh yeah,
I was like, that could be a good investment, thing, or a chance to save money as well as then make a bit of money. But then I started digging into it, and it's like the chance of you actually making any money on premium bonds are so slim. I think it's worse than the lottery. Like if you owned one premium bond, you would never make anything off of it. And to actually make money out of, I think they said you basically got to have like £50,000 worth of premium bonds.
That's probably the maximum.
Which I think is the maximum.
Yeah.
To have to stand any chance of actually making any kind of money out of it.
I mean, people would get, every now and again, they'd get a small prize. And it used to be, I think, 50 quid was the minimum.
Yeah.
I think they reduced that. I think they reduced that to 25. And I think either the number of larger prizes or the value of them has also been reduced.
Yeah.
And again, it's just something else that's been eaten into and is of less value. And people might say, oh well, at least it's somewhere safe to keep your money, but it's going to be worth so much less.
Yeah.
On the long term basis, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a solid savings platform. Because it is protected by the government, so the chances of you ever losing the money are practically zero. But yeah, I'm just on the page right now. It says so the annual prize fund rate is 3.6%, which I know is going down as well. I think that's due to go down in October. But it's 3.66% variable. The odds of winning are 22,000 to 1 for every £1 in the draw. Winnings are tax free. The minimum you can pay in is £25. Okay, so your odds go from 22,000 over 25. What's a quarter of 22,000? 11. So 5.5 thousand to 1. If you pay in £25, your chance of winning is 5.5 thousand to 1. And the maximum you can save is 50,000. Yeah. But the thing is, with regular savings accounts now, again, also being protected by like the is it FSCS? Yeah, being protected by the Financial Conduct Authority and all that kind of stuff. You're better off just having a regular savings account and earning your 3.6% annually that way. Yeah. Rather than going into this lottery draw, because that's 3.6 of the annual, amount that exists in premium bonds. So there's no guarantee you're getting that back. It's a lottery with your savings. So I wouldn't do it. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and you've got a level of protection. I don't know what it is at the moment. I mean, 30, 40, 50 grand or something like that. But it's per bank. So if you have got like 100k or something, and you want to, just save it in savings accounts, put it in 2 different banks or 3 different banks, and it's protected.
85,000, I think, is the FSCS.
Okay. Then again, if you have got 100k and you're just putting it into a savings account, then you're probably an idiot anyway, because there's a great deal more you can do with that. Because otherwise, in 10 years' time, you haven't got 100k anymore. I mean, you have, but let's face it, it's not going to be anything like as much.
Yeah.
Its spending power is going to be massively reduced by that point.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because they say, what is it they say? You need to essentially live without a job. I think it was like 2 million or 5 million, where you essentially save all of that money to then just live off interest. And I think it's 2 million to just live off the interest, but 5 million to live off the interest and still be able to grow the fund. Yeah, to keep enough interest in that saver to then contribute to the cumulative, the compounding interest on top of it. Or something like that, but
depending on how much you spend, and also
exactly.
But then again, it's getting to the point where actually, if you got depending on the certain amount and depending on how old you are, it might be might be better off just just chipping into that capital until it's all gone.
Yeah.
Or you're gone.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, I always thought if I could ever win the lottery or something, just to put enough away, and okay, I'd say I'd want to live modestly, but, I know what I'm like. I am a spendaholic. I do like a bit of retail therapy. But if I could budget myself that, hang on, I'm trying to work this out in my head. I think I worked out that just to put $1 million into savings would give me enough interest to live as if I was in a 30 grand a year job. Not including paying mortgages. But at that point, I'm like, well, if I've got $1 million in savings, I've probably bought my house and I'm living mortgage free.
Yeah.
But it would be enough to live comfortably. I just wouldn't really be able to do much with it.
No. The problem is, living on 30 grand a year, great. Living on 30 grand a year in 10 years' time, not so great.
Exactly. And that's it. It's you'd have to have enough to make sure that, that your $1 million that you've put in is actually then growing as well.
Yeah.
To make sure that when it does get to 5 years' time or 10 years' time, when your 30K doesn't go quite as far, that you're actually not losing out. I don't know. It's a thing. It's a thing that's never going to happen to me. I know that much. So
it's a problem you don't have to really worry about.
Exactly. Exactly. I don't spend too much time thinking about it.
Ones to worry about.
I don't spend too much time thinking about it because I don't play the lottery, so it doesn't matter. I'm never going to have that amount of money. So,
hey, CJ.
Hey,
guess what?
What?
I think it's time for Cat of the Week.
Cat of the Week.
Meow meow.
Meow meow. Indeed.
Meow meow. Indeed. So yeah, it's time for quack
of the week.
Quack of the week. I've lost my cat. Where is it?
I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to. This is after all this nonsense, all this talk about how the country is going to pot, and yeah, it is, and how everything's too expensive and we can't afford anything. Everybody's poor. Why poor? See, cat.
Yeah.
Why do we? What we need is something just to slightly cheer us up. So I thought, what we'll do is I'll find a nice picture of a cat as our cat of the week. For this week, I'm a big fan of ginger cats, so this one really stands out to me. And the caption, I don't know if you can just about see there. The caption says, "This cat loves you."
Oh,
yeah.
That is cute cat, though.
That is a cute cat. So many thanks and credit to the Pets X on X for that picture of a cute cat. And there we go.
There you go.
There you go. Have you thought about getting a pet?
I spend many evenings thinking about getting pets, but then I'm always put off, or I always talk myself out of it because and we discussed it before. I don't have any kind of mechanism for when I travel for work to do something with said pet. I mean, I could hire a dog walker to come around and let them out.
Yeah.
But if I travel away for days, which I do fairly regular, what do I do?
Yeah.
Because I can't take them with me. There's either no pets in the hotels or no pets in the office. What do I do with a pet if I have to travel to Scotland for a week? And what I'm not doing is driving an hour and a half south to drop them off with my parents to then drive north again. I guess, that would be one thing if I was heading southward, like I say, I went to London for a couple of days. I could drop them off at my parents' house. That would be fine, and then pick them up on the way back. But it always comes down to it's not fair on said pet when I have to travel for work.
Yeah,
because it isn't. It's just not fair on them. So that's enough to put me off buying one, or adopting or whatever. Getting a pet in the house. But I would absolutely love to have a dog. Or a couple of dogs that when I'm just sat there on the sofa of an evening feeling a bit lonely, that they'll just come and sit next to me. But yeah, so it's a regular thought for me.
Yeah, fair enough. Because cats are easier than dogs. But again, you can't go away for 5 days without having to have something in place for the cats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I could put a cat flap in and have a chip in the collar, so only that cat can come in and out. And I
The
think
collar might fall off.
yeah, and I can have an auto feeder, which is fine. But again, for me, it's about companionship, and I've done a bit of research on it, through talking to other people who have got cats, and I'm like, it's that cats want companionship as well. Yes, they can be a bit of a dick sometimes, but ultimately they do want companionship. So maybe I'd need a couple of cats so they can keep each other company while I'm away. Like you say, and then have an auto feeder. But then I don't know what they're doing while I'm away. I'd have to invest in cameras to make sure they're not trashing my house. Not that there'd be anything I could do with it while I'm away.
Yeah, they might be eating all your bacon.
Well, exactly. Yeah, they might.
Yeah.
They might figure out how to open the fridge door and get to the bacon.
Yeah, and turn on the stove.
Yeah, exactly. Slide a chair from my dining room table over to the counter so they can sit there cooking bacon in a frying pan.
That's assuming if they don't get a hold of your like your login for Just Eat or something.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah. That's where we go. But I don't know.
In the notes, just leave it outside the cat flap.
So yeah. But
Yeah.
I'll say that also means then they've got my Wi-Fi password, and they probably also then be able to go in and turn off all the cameras, so I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Or they could have they could put in a video of them just doing normal things on a loop. Ocean's 11, sort of Ocean's Cat.
Ocean's Cats, yeah.
Yeah.
How sophisticated do you think my home security system is? It's not that sophisticated.
It's not sophisticated enough to prevent a cat from outsmarting you.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I'd love to get some pets at some point. And I think if I ever found a job, or I was in a situation where maybe I'd have to travel to an office, but that's all I ever did was travel to an office, I might consider it. And then, like I say, if I'm in a commutable distance, so I can come home and let the dogs out of a lunchtime, or cats out of a lunchtime to go and do the business, and then go back to work. Cool. Or if I was a bit further away, to, like say, hire a dog walker just to come around and let the dogs out and put them back in, and that'd be fine for me. But right now that's not where I'm at. Like I say, I do work from home, but then I do also have to travel. So it's just a bit challenging for me.
I'm rather jealous of the people who can take their cats anywhere. You see them on the internet. People have cats on leads, cats on their head. Wherever they go, the cat goes, and the cat's more than happy traveling about.
Yeah. Well, that's the other bit. See, if it was feasible to do it, I'd absolutely take a dog with me everywhere. Like, so sometimes when I go up to Scotland to like the company, conference centre that's up there, people have said to me before, they're like, just bring the dog with you. You can just leave it in the room. I'm like, it's not really fair to leave the dog in the room.
No.
Don't get me wrong. Because accidents do happen, and I'd absolutely deal with it. But it's not fair to leave them there. But I'd be more than happy to take them with me. And they can come and sleep on the bed next to me, and I'd take them out for a walk, and all my colleagues could give it all loads of attention, and I'm sure the dog would love that. But what about everywhere else? It's not really fair.
No,
not really fair. But there you go.
There you go. There you go, indeed.
There you go. That's Cat of the Week, everyone.
Dun, 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 dun.
Cat of the Week.
Meow meow. Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Yeah, so there we go.
There we go. What else you got? Anything?
Now.
Are you all out? You're all out of words. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a solid live stream.
Giggity.
Giggity. Wait. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
Oh, what? You should have heard that.
No.
Hang on. It doesn't matter anyway. The audience will hear it. It's fine.
All right. Anyway, anyway, that was Cat of the Week. This was this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something to say about it. Get in the comments. Let us know. You can also, don't forget, you can contact us. You can DM me at Ted James Media. You can also DM the show, of course, on the socials, and you can, of course, email us on
DJ and Ted at thetuesdayshow.co.uk. We still need to change that.
We will change that eventually, but obviously that means changing websites and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. Anyway, until next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.